Hoy en Mente Hispana.
Even entrepreneurship, leadership, it's definitely not for everyone. I think there's something innate in you.
Welcome to Mente Hispana, the thought leadership show. The show where we talk with Hispanic leaders who are building businesses, transforming systems, and inspiring community. Today, we are honored to welcome Ashley Suazo. Ashley is the founder and executive director of O.L.A. Immigration LLC, an organization based in the United States that provides high-quality remote legal assistance to licensed U.S. immigration attorneys. Through her leadership, O.L.A. Immigration supports law firms with virtual services. Ashley also holds a master's degree in international and global studies, bringing a global perspective to her work in immigration and legal services. Ashley, it's a pleasure to have you today here at Mente Hispana. How are you today?
Good. Thank you for having me, Sergio. Thanks for the opportunity to speak about this.
No, our pleasure. For our listeners who may be listening to Ashley for the first time, I will also like to ask, can you tell us more about who you are and what inspired you to found O.L.A. Immigration?
I think what inspired me to start, well, we call it O.L.A, right? O.L.A Immigration. It stands for Outsourced Legal Assistance. Okay. What inspired me is just the long history of immigration in my personal life. You know, my parents are Honduran immigrants in the United States. You know, and it's your typical immigrant story, traveling to the United States for opportunities, for you and your family, right? And so that's kind of the atmosphere in which I grew up in. I didn't at that point have much interest in the immigrant topic in particular. However, other things in life kept reintroducing this topic of immigration in my life, in my personal life. And then after college, I began working for a nonprofit where I got to see another side of immigration, something that tapped into my humanity, my empathy, my call to service. That's when I really started getting in, just entrenched in the issue. And ever since then, I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop servicing, which I consider my people, my culture. And yeah, and that's kind of what started. I then ended up I went to private practice. I've been in private practice in immigration. I've been to see and visit detention centers and give Know Your Right presentations in detention centers. I worked at universities where we also see that type of service, that type of immigrant professionals and academia. And then until doing what I do now, which is kind of expanding that servicing what I've gone to learn in 15 years of this area and trying to expand and reach more people, more help.
It's a powerful why. Trying to help people, trying to transform lives through work, and all your pathway has been amazing. And for those who are new to this legal world, what exactly does a virtual immigration paralegal do?
So what I specialized in was immigration law, right? So I've been a Board of Immigration Appeals accredited representative, which means under an attorney, I've had the authorization to represent immigrants directly. When you're not at a nonprofit, you can't do that. So the alternative to that, which I worked in, was being a paralegal for many, many, many years. You know, after so many years, you start learning more and more and more immigration law where you can become very right hand person to an immigration attorney. The only thing that sometimes differentiates you is a degree and the opportunity to represent directly in court, right? And so what I've decided to do is kind of expand that knowledge using a lot of resources that are recognized in the United States to kind of teach immigration law, not necessarily to someone that has a background,
Okay.
in immigration. But kind of this new opportunity to also, O.L.A is a place where you can also learn a new area, a niche, a very popular area right now that's high in demand, and be able to service your community essentially. Because a lot of my legal assistants come from Central America. It is a new opportunity without having to be in the United States. You know, all my knowledge comes from the United States. All immigration is registered in the United States as a U.S. company. However, always been in the back of my mind that going back to my roots or giving back to my roots. So Central America is very much an area very near and dear to my heart. Ever since I was really little, traveling a lot, I was like, I want to live here. I want to live here. And to my parents, that's like, you know, we come here to give you an opportunity, and which I did. I appreciate and I took made the most of it. But my connection has always been, I want to give back. I want to give back to my roots, to young professionals who are just as capable, and can use this opportunity for the best.
Definitely. And I believe that it's a win-win situation because for young professionals, they will have opportunities in the States that under other circumstances they wouldn't have. So they can understand better immigration law. They can practice their English. They can have a better salary mostly than most Central American countries could afford for that same position due to economics. Clients for your law firms, they can have access to excellent talent, bilingual talent, working talent. And in some cases, I know that it's not, but in some cases, you can have lawyers in some country in Central America that are lawyers in their own country, but they can work as paralegals. And that's a huge advantage for law firms in the States.
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the things that we here, we do have an office space. It is remote legal assistance to the firm, but it's not remote as far as having a team here, and quality control systems in place and supervision in place to where we can kind of take care of a lot of concerns that many attorneys would have as far as confidentiality, and also the fact that, hey, we may be remote to your office. O.L.A Immigration is a registered LLC in Louisiana. Um, and so they have somewhere to look for us.
Yeah, definitely. That's a whole combo because when you have them at your office, you can, as you said, your quality control progress and be in control of security because most of law firms, well, all the information of the clients of the law firms, it's confidential. So you need to ensure security, quality control and processes. And to have them on your office, that's like calm for the client, like a law firm. Then I will work with you because security is one of my top priorities.
Yeah, I mean, with technology nowadays, it could be possible that you could micromanage someone, but I assume that with the programs necessary for that, it would be quite an investment.
Yeah, definitely. I know that, as you said, we all know immigration. That's the reason why I started all my podcasts. Like immigration now, it's a hot topic. It's in the word of everyone, especially in the United States, where Hispanic communities attack and other communities are like politically and socially attacked. And every time I go on the news, it's all bad news and terrible stuff. And that's one of the main reasons I started this podcast to share good news about Hispanic community and Hispanic leaders that are doing well for their communities and how are they doing it. But how have you experienced this change in your business? Like I know you got paralegals and they're helping it's immigration and there are a lot of changes constantly. How do you prepare for these changes and how inspires your people in order to help others?
Um, I think it's very important to establish with my team the openness and the trust to say, I need a break, to tell me, I just had a really difficult phone call. Client is very, very stressed. You hear a lot of pressure, or maybe the client just cried, while you're on the phone with them. It's important for me to have that communication with my legal assistants where they can feel okay telling me, I think I need a few minutes, a break. There's so much emotional overload.
Um, I can
And
imagine.
oh yeah, we the type of calls that we are receiving right now, y- the I don't want to go outside because I'm scared. Even if they
Yeah,
some
all the
kind
documentation in order.
even if they may have something pending, there's always this. I For me, it's close to home because I can give you an example. Father is a Honduran U.S. citizen, but he works and has worked for years in the hospitality. Hospitality is one of the industries that has the most amount of immigrants, working. So I have that like personal anxiety, even though my father is a citizen.
Yeah, I know.
I have that personal anxiety of, Mom, is he home yet? Because sometimes they may get out late at night, and is he home yet? Everything's okay? How's work? And then also the stress of like maybe some of his employees are not coming into work, and he has to manage. Okay, what am I gonna do as lead of the department, to get the work done you know, that does have to be done. I can't imagine the stress, but yeah.
Yeah. Uh, I also can imagine. I remember last administration we had the how did the CBP one asked to walk in person through the border, and then most of them they ask for asylum and they're waiting on their date. But then the new administration came and turned that off. But we still have a lot of people that are wandering around and saying, "I'm just waiting for my appointment at the asylum, and I already have my social security, but I don't know what else to do because I'm receiving letters from the I don't know, the IRS or whatever, like, or a visit from ICE and they want to deport me and I don't know how to do it. And those stories are the ones that break my heart because most of them, they are good-willing people that just want an opportunity to do best. They just want to work. And I know that some of them are bad actors, but they are not the majority. They're a minority. Most of them, they are just hardworking people that want an opportunity.
Yeah.
What do you love most about your career?
Oh, helping people. There's nothing like the rewarding feeling when you actually contributed to winning, a case. And right now, it's difficult where even the smallest things feel like a victory. It's kind of sad, I guess I should say. Like the other day, I was helping an attorney ask for voluntary departure for one of their clients, right? And because they're just tired of being in detention. Like they have this other option for relief, you know, but it's like, but I don't want to be in detention fighting for relief. So it's kind of bittersweet in the sense that, you have this option. Let's apply for this option. But the client feels defeated and is like, I cannot stand being detained any longer. I just want to go. So it's sad to get an approval for a voluntary departure at this point. Carries different consequences as being ordered removed from the country. It's like, oh my God, we got it. Oh my God, it was granted. And sure, she's leaving other options behind, right? Even those those victories feel so sweet because you're like, oh, she's getting out of detention,
Yeah.
it's yeah. So even those small victories, there's nothing like that feeling. And I can say that, I think, for all my collaborators, I think I can say that for all of them, that there's nothing like that feeling. Sometimes they cry with relief, and it's that's the best part. Service. That's O.L.A's number one mission, is servicing people.
Yeah. to serve others in need who needs our help. Even though you got a small victories, sometimes they feel like big ones because you're helping others.
Especially now, yeah.
Gotcha. And now I want to introduce the topic of leadership. I know that you have teams in place, you have clients, but what has been an important uh, first, before entering to what leadership means to you, who has been an important mentor in your life, and how did this person or persons influence your personal path, your professional?
Yeah, my definite in this area and in this area of leadership, my mentor has definitely um been the first person that introduced me into immigration law, who's an attorney and an ex Board of Immigration Appeals, Homero Lopez. Now he is the executive director of ISLA in New Orleans, who has always instilled service as the number one reason to do the work that we do. As we originally met each other working in a nonprofit environment. And nonprofit can be, I mean, obviously is good. It's good that there's that option available. Through the nonprofit, we went to the detention centers to give know your rights presentations to detained immigrants. And we're able to help at no cost to them. Just kind of seeing the environment that he works and fights for and the sacrifice of our privilege, because we are US citizen Latinos, making a sacrifice or using our privilege in a way to help those less, I don't want to say less fortunate, but that have maybe less opportunities open to them. Realize their dream, their personal dream, and what they want for themselves in their life.
Yeah. With everything that you have just shared with us, what does leadership means to you?
Make sacrifices, being able to lead in front and not in front of people when no one's watching, to inspire, representing those that also believe in your mission.
When you are looking for new paralegals to help you with your project and be working for you and your clients, these paralegals, you're looking for them to have this. I want someone that could work even when it's not being watched, and someone that is willing to sacrifice for others, for the good of others. It's that important for you when you are recruiting or interviewing new candidates, if they have this?
Yeah, it's that, and on the technical service and the understanding of the mission, right? Empathy, absolutely empathy for the situation and the emotional intelligence to kind of deal with that. And then on the technical end, I would say kind of resilience, uh, definitely initiative. Like, I need someone that doesn't like kind of wait for direction, can find ways to resolve even a little bit before asking me. To know, to research, look it up. There's so many resources nowadays. I mean, to kind of try and figure it out before needing me.
Yeah, someone that is proactive and it's a problem solver. Sometimes I tell to the people I work with, I prefer to be angry at you because you got a mistake than be angry at you because you did nothing.
Yeah.
And if you got a mistake, you have to learn from it and we can move on from it, but you were proactive and you were practicing and trying to solve a problem. Then if I can't help you at the moment, I will tell you how will be worse, better to solve it. But I always like people that are proactive on their boundaries, but that they can have this sort of problem solving. So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely activity, spirit of service, emotional intelligence, and this empathy that they could have with the clients. And I'm glad you mentioned emotional intelligence because nowadays most of the jobs or companies they don't think about that. I believe that for your job, for paralegals and immigration paralegals, for all the stories that they had, that they heard, and the people that they touch, and they need to be strong emotionally in order to share what they're feeling and not to carry as their own the problems that they're hearing all day. And that's a tough one. So I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm hoping that all the people that are listening to us and have no business and are recruiting, they also look for emotional intelligent people. And if they don't find them, they find like programs or solutions in order to help them to be more emotionally intelligent. Because I
Yeah.
believe that's one of the most important soft skills at any job that any people should work at.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it's a work in progress, right? You learn by experience. To some people, starting with Ola is a new experience, right? But I would hope that if ever there were a reason to leave Ola, that you would say that at least you've experimented that area, grown in that area. Any little contribution that Ola has made to someone's professional career, I'll take it, I'll take it.
Yeah, hopefully, Ola, through you today in the podcast, a lot of people are going to hear you, and that will be a huge contribution. One of the other things I want to ask you is most of our well, not most, let's say some of our listeners, they are entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs that they have a business from 3 to 7 years, and they would like to know, like, hey, in your experience, which are the most common mistakes that a young entrepreneur they avoided?
You know what? It's hard for me, Sergio, because I don't have an MBA. I've never had a business. I also don't have a degree in human resources. For me, it was all about that courage, ese coraje, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to expand and reach more people and kind of just see what happens. Ola will be 4 years old in May of next year. So it's still very baby, very baby Ola. And I think one of the mistakes that that I recognize now in retrospect is we trying to build so quickly and not kind of taking time to build quality as far as like organization knows. Realize that Ashley cannot be everything. Ashley cannot be director, marketing, human resources, and trainer.
Do you remember the Bugs Bunny cartoons from Warner Bros. When they were playing baseball and Bugs Bunny was in base one, Bugs Bunny was in base two, Bugs Bunny was in base three? This is
Running.
sometimes how you feel when you're starting your own business, right?
Yeah, and I think then somehow demands got thrown into that mix, and so we were um I always use Ola as Ola like a wave. Then we were swimming against the current. Like that's how I felt. That kind of that's the Ola was like us swimming against the current, right? Also, like, on the understanding throughout the process that um good intentions are not always enough, and sometimes having a good heart at doing is not always going to be recognized. And if you don't give your team like clarity, boundaries, goals, or structure, then I feel like it's a ticking time bomb. And so Ola did have to like kind of midway after about a year and a half kind of call in the professional troops and actually building the book, a manual on everything, right? And
Yeah.
actually I have an attorney friend that told me when I started, he was like, work on this first before starting your manual. I was desperate. I saw the opportunity. I jumped into it. I don't want to say it's terrible because we're still here, right? I'm still here. I'm still fighting. Honestly, I feel like I'm sitting in one of the best places I've ever been with the team that I have and the clients that we have. Sure, there's that fear now, like, should I now grow again? Keep growing. But actually, I was sitting at a meeting with one of my oldest since day one contractors, right? And I said, you know what? I think it's time we take this opportunity to start building up again. And I believe in her, and I believe in the reins that she can take from me. I was like, if you believe in yourself, I'll hold your hand through this, but we need to kind of go through that. So my advice would be, it's always scary. It's always so scary. And it's not going to be flawless. Sometimes it's going to be really ugly. But, if you keep that mentality in mind of service and the people that you reach and the people that you help, we can make it.
Yeah, yeah, and I love it because you described perfectly the process or the pathway when someone is starting their own business. Not it's not going to be smooth, and not going to be all easy. It's going to be full like a roller coaster, ups and downs, moments where you want to quit and moments where you want to go on. But then you remember why you started, and that why, as I'm hearing you, is what keeps you going. Like the spirit of service of others and how can I serve more people. That's when I'm having my doubts of scaling the business. I said, oh, but I can help so much more people. So then go again and do the effort.
Exactly, exactly. And it's people like that contractor that I just mentioned that has been with me since day one. O.L.A. Probably having enough, experience on the business end and on the immigration end to say, still trying to figure it out. Let me see what it. But no, like I said, the people that believe in me, believe in my mission. Oh my God, that gives me all the energy in the world to keep going.
Yeah. Now, if you could go back in time and you could talk to 18-year-old Ashley, what advice would you give her? Now that you know all what you've been doing through, but what advice would you tell to 18-year-old Ashley?
18-year-old Ashley, where was I? I think 18-year-old Ashley didn't even know yet what was coming. It almost is like, and I didn't think I even recognized my passion for service until I was in a nonprofit. I think brace yourself. You think you know everything, but you don't, But boy, are you ready for it. Because even entrepreneurship, leadership, it's definitely not for for everyone. I think there's something innate in you. However, I don't think some people know it at 18. And I
Yeah.
didn't know it. But I think circumstances in my life opened the opportunity for it and I seized it. I'm not great at everything, said he. Like I don't believe I'm great at public speaking or at podcast, even sitting in this podcast right now. Like literally 10 minutes before starting, I'm getting nervous. But I just try and find center and say, like, think of all the people you can inspire. Don't think they have the leadership, don't think they have the degrees or the education, to do this. But then if you have the want for it and you have the support for it, because I can't thank enough like my parents for their sacrifice and their belief in me. And that's all. The people that tell me you can do it, find that circle that tells you, that they believe in you, that they know you can do this. You got it.
Yeah. Now that's a beautiful advice. I always like to ask this question because it makes us look back to see the path that we have walked in and then say, oh, what would I tell my 18-year-olds? And it's a truthful, honest answer, and I appreciate your answer. I really like it. I know that we're getting to the end of this show. I want to tell you, first of all, I'm thankful for having you. Thank you for talking to us, and especially I know everyone is always nervous. That's something that you won't change, but that's something that you can control fear in entrepreneurship, as in life, as in a podcast. Just go for it. If you think it's aligned with your why, go for it, and it will be fine. I mean, nobody's an expert, nobody has the credentials. I definitely don't have the credentials to be a podcast host. I just want to share a message, and that's it. But I want to tell you also the three things that I learned about today listening to you. The first one is uh, always be focused on why do you do things. I love that you continuously repeat service to others, service to others, service to others. And that's really, really important to me. Sometimes, as in young entrepreneurs, blinded by the daily operation, it's always consuming you. And it happens to all of us. But remember, why did you start this? Why do you want to scale it? Why do you want to share it with the world? And that's one of the most powerful things I'm taking out today. The second thing is your vision on leadership. It's not what you do in the light, but what you do in the dark that transform you, right? It's don't be waiting for anyone else just for the applause or for the clients to see you. No, do the things that you have to do when you have to do it and in the best way possible.
Yeah.
And lastly, would like to take away the 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 way you were talking about, like, hey, if I'm looking for people, I want them to share, I want them to have emotional intelligence, I have grit, I want them to share the service passion that I have so they can deliver the service I expect, but at the same time they feel grateful about it, and their job it's meaningful to them. So that's something that it's also important for me. Most of the time we're looking to recruit in a way that it's just, hey, I need this position. This guy got the credentials. Come on, work for me. But we don't take the time to see if they are aligned with the mission, if they got the values, if they got the purpose. So that's also really, really important to me. So I'm grateful for that. And of course, there are a lot of other takeaways that our listeners will have, and they can share us on the comment section. And I would like to tell you that, well, we will publish this, and all the, if you want to contact with Ashley or her O.L.A Law of Immigration, we will have the links in the description so you can contact
Yeah.
her. And if to be sure we connect with her and explore her how her team supports immigration attorneys nationwide. So don't be hesitant, they will be there. Also, subscribe at Mente Hispana for more conversation with inspiring Hispanic leaders. Share this episode with someone who cares about leadership, service, and community impact. And Ashley, before we finish, is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience?
Yeah, I would say that it's a difficult and unpredictable time for immigrants or just the community, the Latino and Hispanic community in general. And I would say that it's the time to reach out, to find out in your community how you can be of assistance to anyone that's in need. And answering calls sometimes, or going to a law firm and see if you can help with anything, answering calls, or a nonprofit also passing out information, texting information to people. This time is so uncertain and can be so stressful. So that's kind of my message to everybody. Find someone to lean on for support, and see if you have any support to offer some organizations.
Thank you, Ashley, and thank you all to listening to another episode of Mente Hispana. Today, Ashley Suazo reminds us that strong leadership, accountability, and compassion can create systems that truly support people during critical moments in their lives. Keep growing, keep leading. We'll see you in the next episode. Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you, Sergio.